Welcome back. You are watching DXB Today, where we're giving you the tools that you need to lead by example. Takes us over to our next guest. Now, businesses must always adapt and evolve, and today more than ever, that adaptability is essential. To find out more, we are joined now by Sebastian Bidou, an International SOS General Manager for the Middle East. Now, Sebastian, my goodness, I can't imagine how much you are dealing with right now. So how about we start by telling audiences a little bit about your role at International SOS and what they do when it comes to helping clients with continuity and planning.
Thank you very much. It's been busy, indeed. So International SOS supports organizations managing risks, protecting their people, their asset, and also ensuring continuity in operation. So we are everywhere in the world, here when they need us, with security advisory, health and well-being program, as well as crisis preparedness. And we also help the leadership teams like yourself, Sami, keeping calm and making informed decisions, especially in period of uncertainty. And we do it with proactive and reactive measures, so you can fulfill your duty of care in front of your clients, but more importantly, in front of your own staff.
I like that.
Yeah. And I mean, we were very fortunate. We've been a client of yours in my solar company. You know, we used to work in exotic locations around the world, building power plants in remote areas. And so, you know, that degree of care was critical. And it's something that we took on board, but we never thought about it from needing it in the UAE or even in the GCC, right? So that was never really the case. How was the reaction, kind of within your clients with what occurred recently?
Sure. Sami, I think something is paramount, is that no region is immune to crisis. Whether it's geopolitical tensions, extreme weather, and I remember sitting with some of your colleagues in January and we were discussing live on the radio that in a period of heightened geopolitical tensions, we could be hit by a storm and look at us. So we should take nothing for granted. We are very lucky to operate in a region and in a country that takes care of us as residents, as guests. And I think we should be extremely thankful for the way we and our family have been treated and how safe we are in the UAE. But of course, we can't hide the fact that for the first 6 days it's been quite hectic. And with broken records of clients calling us first to understand what was happening and then to understand from us how we could best support them in these unprecedented times. And I'll give you a few stats if you allow me to. Within the first 6 days, more than 3,600 cases were managed out of our Dubai Assistance Center for more than 1,000 individual organizations. So you can imagine the sheer amount of requests that our team handled. And I'm so proud of them, so proud of the way we've been resilient, because managing a crisis is one thing, managing a crisis within a crisis is another.
Yeah, so when risks start to overlap like this, what becomes the most vulnerable then, Sebastian? Is it the people, the operations, or the supply chains?
I mean, you said it. People is always the first pressure point, because when uncertainty rises, stress, fatigue, morale, everything goes out of the window. And when your people feel unsafe, then operations are obviously impacted. But it's important to mention that for as long as you can guarantee human resilience, your operation will continue. And supply chain and operations are important, but they are only as strong as the people managing them. So take care of your people first, operations will follow.
But obviously we've seen a disruption in travel and logistics, which affected how organizers kind of move people around and goods as well, because there's a lot of things that come from outside that without it, business do not operate. So how are organizations adapting to this change?
I think organizations have stopped taking mobility for granted. They have stopped assuming that it's easy to go from point A to point B back to point A. Look at it, right? Airspace can be restricted. Airport can stop operating. Flight can be disrupted, and actually more often than we would like them to. So then you have alternatives to take into consideration. Land movement, shelter in place, work remotely, or not moving at all. And in fact, if I can share a story, having people stranded abroad is sometimes something you need to consider, leaving them in place for as long as it's not safe for them to come back, and give flexibility. And having them staying informed with clarity and guidance, that's the best thing you can do. Again, people first.
Now, what, in your perspective, what's the biggest difference between companies, businesses that have have stayed smoothly operational versus those have had their operations disrupted?
It's a good one. It's $1 million question.
And I bet you have the answer.
I'll do my best.
It's your opinion.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
I think it's really resources. Most of the time it's preparedness, and I'll insist on that, preparedness and leadership clarity. Who decides, who communicates, how often, how early, striking the right balance. And you can't go wrong for as long as you have people first decision. The organization that will do best will enter the crisis with their best foot forward, because hesitation is an absolute killer. So stay prepared, have your plans updated. Don't leave your business continuity plans on a shelf somewhere collecting dust. Make sure that you are current and that you are adaptable.
Love it.
And I feel like resilience has been the theme, right? You've said it, and we've heard it quite a bit in the context of, you know, the strengths of organizations and everything. But I guess also redundancies, right? And a lot of the reason why we're so comfortable here is because the system has so many layers of protection on multiple fronts, whether that's economic, whether that's, you know, military, whatever the case is. We feel quite safe. How have you viewed from your clients? You have a very interested vantage point. How have you viewed the difference in terms of, you know, the redundancy plans that companies have in the comfort of their employees, their team, and their operations here in country?
I think the difference between the organizations that were ready to absorb the shock can be described in 4 various points. The redundancy can be explained first in workforce visibility. Do you know where your people are? That's number 1. Then I think the second one could be around continuity framework. Do you have plans in place that will help your redundancy so you continue operation even in uncertain periods where stress is at the highest? Then do you have a way to make sure that you cut through the noise? That you have a human in the loop that can tell you what is relevant, what is true, and what is not partial in terms of information. And last but not least, obviously working with providers on the security, health, and well-being aspects is absolutely key, because you can't do everything yourself. So all of these together, I think, have a tangible impact on the way you react and how well you are positioned to emerge from a crisis.
So Sebastian, moving forward as well, so some companies are really feeling it and understanding what they need to do if this happens again or continues in any sort of worse way. So what are some of the processes that some of these companies should and can have in place?
I'll sound like a broken record, but I don't mind.
No,
I think that's
good.
important, right?
Yeah.
Preparedness. I think we need to move away from a certainty being dealt like a single event as a one-off. This is part of a new normal. So we need to make sure that it becomes manageable. And your continuity planning will give you confidence to operate even in circumstances that you haven't experienced in the past. And the question to me is no longer, are we ready to face those circumstances? It's how have we prepared and how rehearsed are our plans to make sure that when it happens, because it will, we can carry on for the sake of our clients and for the sake of our people.
Yeah, love that.
And so I wanted to ask, like, talking about all of this, looking at the future and the future of businesses within the UAE and the wider region, what's the biggest mindset change that the companies need to adapt to think about what might happen in the future, those uncertain times that might occur?
In a region like the Middle East that attracts global talents, that attracts international trade, as a true hub, look at aviation, how blessed we are for families to still be able to be reunited despite the circumstances, thanks to the heroes still flying our sky. What will be key is readiness and resilience. The major shift is moving away from being static to being in movement and constantly adapting your plans so you remain current. Again, if you give the power to decide at board level on preparedness and resilience, you're probably at the right stage where you need to be, so it becomes actionable for everybody that needs to work on those plans. So I think this is the next step for all of us. We live and learn. But look at the resilience of the Middle East, it's commendable, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to ask both of you, gentlemen, to catch you a little bit off guard here. But, you know, there's something that you said, we can't take these uncertain circumstances for granted because we've seen it now. We've seen it with COVID, we've seen it with floods, we've seen it now with these regional disruptions. And, you know, I think about my own children. This is their third time doing online schooling, right? Where our life changes and we have learned to adapt, which in a way is a blessing. So my question for you is, have you encountered any inspirational stories or businesses where you've seen people or companies adapt in a way that you found to be commendable?
I've seen quite a bit of it. Now, I'll go actually to the startup ecosystem, right? And it's not just a single business, but the way everybody got in touch. Right? And we've got a number of investments in portfolio companies. The way everyone got in touch and said, how can we support each other? What can we do for one another? I'm an investor in a legal AI company named Kadi. You know, they started reaching out to some of the people and saying, hey, do you want us to review your contracts to see what's going on, to help out in an efficient, cost-effective, and comforting way, right? And ultimately, it's that confidence of having things. And unlike a lot of, you know, the larger organizations, which have boards, which have the privilege of really building in these redundancies, when you're in a startup, you're often flying the plane and building it at the same time, right? And so you really need to, you never have this in your PowerPoint or deck in terms of these, you know, massive, these massive unexpected circumstances, and just again having that ability to quickly reach out, get data points, confidence, and work together to get over that kind of stuff was really inspiring to see all the different startups work together and help each other get over the line.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come back to the story that we started with. Managing a crisis within a crisis is something that very few can experience and come out stronger. And when you have staff members taking calls from outside of the office because the office is not operable for a reason or another, guaranteeing the duty of care of their clients while knowing that their own family could be in a challenging moment is something that I've never seen, and that I need to say that in my 20 years in the Gulf, I cannot thank enough the people that have been able to do that. So that's, to me, the number one key takeaway in this period.